Hi, thank you for viewing our submission to the Singa Ballard Center competition. The high-level strategy we recommend for Singa is based on three main recommendations. 1. Evolve the Singa structure and create a clear division of labor. 2. Partner whenever possible and learn from contemporaries. And 3. Strengthen Singa's brand integrity.
Singa currently faces the major challenge of all startups, what Jeffrey Moore coined as crossing the chasm and making the leap to the mainstream market. As Singa considers scalability and sustainability, we recommend as a first step a clear division of labor between the executive management team and local chapter management. In order for Singa to gain global presence, the executive management team needs to focus their time and energy on more administrative rather than project-oriented tasks, such as large-scale networking and fundraising. They will also be responsible for Singa's overall strategy going forward. The second tier of leadership, called area managers, will be responsible for 2 to 3 Singa chapters within a certain region. These area managers will be Singa's brand ambassadors and ensure that all local chapters are appropriately representing Singa's brand and are aligned with the Singa values and mission. The third and final tier of management are the regional management teams. They will be in charge of operating all of the local programs and events. The local chapter managers will have the autonomy to structure their teams in a way that reflects the local needs and culture, such as the rigid hierarchy in Germany's chapter versus the more fluid structure in France.
According to the Bridgespan Group's research of over 3,300 deals in over 11 years, mergers and acquisitions should be viewed as a strategic rather than default option within the nonprofit sector. When considering expansion, Singa should consider the following market characteristics before launching a new venture. For example, in San Francisco, there are at least 28 different organizations that are specifically focused on assisting refugees in the Bay Area, some of which have been in existence more than 40 years. While it's true Singa may in fact offer different services and less bureaucratic approach, it is realistic to assume that many American donor dollars will be slow to switch from a more experienced community state.
The Bridgespan Group summarizes the strategic benefits of nonprofit mergers and acquisitions in the following list. Improvements in quality and efficiency are clearly aligned with the spirit of Singa. Increased funding, development of new skills, and entry into new geographies are 3 of Singa's most pressing objectives. That is why we advise that whenever possible, Singa should merge or acquire an existing local organization to avoid overlap and maintain a lean, sustainable, long-term growth model. But what would this look like? To start, Singa staff would provide intensive training, starter marketing materials, and would help with any new hires before the official launch. Singa would also provide 25% of the chapter's annual funding and allow for full access to its brand and resources. All of these benefits would hinge on the condition that the newly restructured organization adheres to the Singa charter. Singa could then leverage the incumbent organization's established network and experienced staff.
An excellent example of this strategy is in the Hands-On Network, which is headquartered in Atlanta and has 250 affiliates that share a branding schematic, base funding, and primary programming that is adapted to local customs. This Hand-On Network acquired the struggling city volunteer centers and partnered with Points of Light instead of building new volunteer centers in every city. These mergers allowed the organization to increase their share of the volunteer market and opened the door to substantial federal and corporate dollars.
We recognize that every city widely differs in the breadth and quality of resources available to refugees. In an area where a merger or acquisition is not an option, we recommend that Singa continue with the franchise model according to Singa's international contract. This model creates a funnel for the most motivated and skilled candidates to launch a Singa chapter. Similar to the suggested strategy of mergers and acquisitions, we recommend that Singa still provide some level of financial support to these startups so that Singa can maintain control over its brand.
Based on our proposal for Singa's division of labor and growth strategy, we believe that headquarters should be based in Switzerland. We know what you're thinking. Why not San Francisco? Consider the following strategic questions. Singa's collaborators and donors have mainly been in Europe. For example, Singa's recent collaboration with the French government is extremely encouraging and something that Singa will want to continue to foster closely. The U.S. nonprofit market is highly saturated and Singa would be competing with many proven and reputable brands, such as the International Rescue Committee. Our decision is also based on the key Singa belief in the importance of developing its own organizations as lean and sustainable as possible. Staying true to this core value would rule out San Francisco as an option for Singa headquarters, as the cost of living in San Francisco is approximately 30% higher than Paris, leading to unnecessary additional overhead expenses.
We strongly believe that Singa's headquarters should remain in Europe. Singa was born in Europe and should grow organically from places of strength rather than relocate to a different continent with a completely different cultural and political climate, not to mention a place where Singa model has not yet been proven successful. Switzerland, France, and Belgium are all good options, but we are partial to Geneva, home of the United Nations Refugee Agency.
Singa has amazing potential to impact thousands of people in need, but can reach so many more if partners with others who are already doing what Singa wants to accomplish. The synergy of partnerships will propel Singa to new heights, starting with corporate partners. The political climate has put refugees in the public eye, and companies want to get involved. PBS reported that 51 corporations, including Facebook, Twitter, MasterCard, Johnson & Johnson, and other companies, have committed to easing access to education, employment, and financial services for some 6.3 million refugees in more than 20 countries.
We see this in Doctors Without Borders, a prominent international nonprofit that received $18 million in 2015 from corporations. The trend of corporate giving is on the rise. Singa should seek out corporate sponsors. Additionally, governments are proving to be powerful revenue sources for this unparalleled migration of people. In 2015, International Rescue Committee committed 83% of its yearly funding from agency, accounting to almost $603 million. We recommend that Singa reach out to these same agencies for government funding.
Currently, there are 20,000 volunteers for Singa, and the numbers are growing faster every year. These volunteers offer a vast pool of resources for Singa. Volunteers may be Singa's most valuable resource. Volunteers can bring Singa's mission to the workplace, match giving campaigns, and they can lend a hand with social ventures that franchises are forming. And they can use their personal networks to connect refugees to different job opportunities. We encourage Singa to leverage volunteers as much as possible.
Foundations have a hard time donating to for-profit companies, but they can donate to nonprofits with for-profit subsidiaries. We feel that every franchise in this new structure can make the decision to start a for-profit subsidiary and can effectively use the talent and time of volunteers to bring in an additional revenue stream. We recommend that each chapter of Singa begin its own business, leveraging the skills and time of the volunteers and refugees. This could include selling apparel, food from the origin countries in food trucks, or even setting up consulting on global inclusion, using refugee knowledge about country culture to share with businesses.
Share Our Strength is a U.S. nonprofit that has a for-profit consulting subsidiary that brings $2.8 million to the revenue stream of Share Our Strength. With whatever sale, product, or service, a social venture could bring an additional revenue to each Singa franchise. The last partnership recommendation is to partnership with companies that offer technical tools. As Singa learned in 2014 hackathon, technology can be a powerful tool in assisting refugees. Smartphone continues to increase around the world, and this is greatly affecting the way refugees can interact with one another, as well as their new communities.
The first tech partnership is with tech companies, who are often willing to donate their online tools such as training and help with job placement. Tech is a growing field with a high need for engineers. Singa should seek to partner with companies that can train and place constituents into this field, companies like Pluralsight, Degreed, and Udacity. As Singa continues to build on its new web platform, we recommend looking for potential partners in social media. Organizations from Google to the Red Cross have produced refugee-specific apps with functions ranging from Airbnb services to locating lost members of their family. To avoid overlap of resources, Singa should collaborate with and learn from these organizations whenever. A final suggestion for partnerships is to join with a management software company such as Microsoft or Percolate. This will create a centralized mode of communication for reporting, and geographically distant managers will be able to easily connect and share their chapter's unique challenges and successes.
Along with getting the right structure in place and partnering with others, a third prong to Singa's success is to strengthen brand integrity. One way for Singa to build its brand integrity would be to partner with a company like Micro Benefits. This software works to increase employee engagement among factory workers in China and Vietnam through a social media platform for coworkers, online training curriculum, and gamified learning, feedback surveys for managers, and company-wide updates. Though Singa's target market may slightly differ, many of the same features may apply to community engagement for refugees to help them feel connected and empowered. Our third and final recommendation is to build brand integrity is to strengthen Singa's brand integrity by defining the spirit of Singa.
The International Rescue Committee currently operates in over 40 countries and yet still maintains a highly consistent brand image. A former project manager credited this success to a combination of top-down efforts. IRC has created an IRC Way document similar to the spirit of Singa. They also host yearly management training, something we suggest for Singa chapter managers.
It is important to provide training on what Singa represents and what it does, and the Ballard Center BYU provides a brand kit to new employees with details about how to represent the brand and what would be inappropriate. After being thoroughly trained, he or she takes a brand test to make sure the principles of the brand kit were clearly understood.